Okay.
And, of course, we have Wendy Patrick, outstanding prosecutor. Troy Slayton, equally outstanding defense attorney. So on the issue here, Troy, I have to turn to you first because prosecutor has the closing word, right? So your word, how do you begin to defend a case like this? And just before you begin, Troy, I just want to talk about a timeline here, and we'll show the timeline to you in terms of what happened. You see at 5:21, Troy, his wife's last communication on this text. At 6:11, last activity on the home computer. But it's interesting because he claims he left at 6:30 or 7 for Applebee's, and that at the time that she was on the computer. Seems to be contradicted by the evidence. And the last thing I'll have you figure out is this. At 6:59, the husband's truck appears to travel in the direction of Applebee's. So, Troy, use that esteemed defense work that you do and get him out of this one.
Why would he do it, Joey? People have tumultuous relationships all the time. They were married and together for 15 years. They owned a business together, and the police have not been able to answer that one simple question, why? And so I think that, maybe there was somebody else that came in. Maybe this was a robbery gone wrong. And just because the police haven't found anybody else doesn't mean that nobody else could have done it. And now that they've made their arrest, does that mean that they're not out looking for the potential real killer?
Troy makes a very good point. Give us in 30 seconds your best prosecution argument.
We don't need to prove motive, period. End of argument. We don't need to prove why. And I got to tell you, this was one of the most clumsiest cover-ups we have ever seen. And I got to, both of you are excellent defense attorneys. Neither of you would likely have luck with this case. Not only, like you said, does the evidence in the timeline not make sense. Remember, he tried to conceal evidence. Remember, the blood was found on the towels and the tissues that were in the kitchen. I mean, he did everything wrong. It was almost, you wonder if he wanted to get caught. Now, does that set him up for a mental defense? Because remember what happened when they got to the scene, started performing CPR. He was combative. He was apparently booked into a psychiatric facility. So there may be some issues. Somebody may be going to argue that he snapped at the scene, but there is no way the evidence is overwhelming at this point.
Pretty powerful closing argument. Wendy, I want to correct you. Troy and I wouldn't have luck unless, of course, if we were facing you, we wouldn't have luck. Otherwise, everybody else, maybe we'd get by. But thank you guys so much.
Right back at you. Thank you.
Thanks, Joey.